Welcome back to the podcast. These are the China stories. I'm Mike Rice, and I'm in Beijing. So, yesterday, as I put out on the web, which nobody has seen and nobody probably will, my podcast regarding the new outbreak here in China. It's a brief one and a small one, and the majority of them seem to be asymptomatic, but that doesn't mean that they haven't spread it. They've gone ahead and shut the schools back down and are not allowing kids to return to school. Everybody was starting to breathe a sigh of relief that their children were not going to be in the house all the damn time, and they shut that down. A couple of students were infected and a bunch of people at two different fish markets, 2 at one and 45 asymptomatic people at another. And I suppose there'll be more in the days to come. I haven't checked the news recently. And so kind of once again, you get, you start to get up and somebody pushes you back in your chair, realizing I'm not over my cold or whatever it is. One of these things where you turn the corner and you find out, no, this isn't the last stretch home. I've got a whole bunch of unseen miles ahead, whatever it may be. Contrasted, of course, with the feeling of coming over the hill to your hometown after years away, driving over the hill or flying into your home city. Those kinds of, wow, right. I remember that I was coming back to Seattle one time, coming back actually to Bainbridge Island, riding the ferry over from Seattle. And I'd been in the Southwest for quite a while, and the air and the lift and the emotional goodness, for lack of a better word, that I was experiencing standing on the deck of that ferry boat. This morning I started to think about all that because it was the antithesis of that ferry boat ride. I felt like things were kind of closing in around me a little bit. And I don't mean that in like I'm getting paranoid and I'm going to lock myself away or it's any kind of grave psychological thing, but it did spur a lot of thoughts. And I was watching something where I was watching a video of a birthday party. I realized the memory struck in my head. What was my last birthday like? And I was like, I had kind of deluded myself because I know for a fact I've never had a birthday party. Never. Now, I'm not whining about that, but I want you to imagine how many of you have not ever had a birthday party. Ever. Not when you were a kid, not as an adult. Of course, as you get to be an adult, you don't want them. Some people do still. They like to be celebrated. They like that, that feeling. And that led to the next thought, which is, when was the last time somebody asked you out for a beer? And I can't remember that. It seems like every interaction I've had has been initiated by me. I literally can't name any of those people that other people might call friends that would reach out to me and say, hey, let's go out to dinner. And I realized, what? Is that true? Yes, of course, the birthday thing is true. And, I'm 56. It's not like it just dawned on me. And then I realized I don't actually have any friends, people who think of me and worry for me and check up on me. Any initiation for conversations comes from me. I have to insert myself. And when you insert yourself, you risk becoming the person who inserted themselves and becoming the awkward one. I have been set aside and gossiped by people who claim to be my close friends. An attempt to marginalize me. I'm not sure why. I don't have a problem with it per se. I'm just not sure why that's happening. I'm not sure what I did to make that happen. I don't know what it is that people don't like. I had things in my life. And so maybe that's the fact that people are unforgiving, or that I'd like to think I'd made such horrible mistakes that I think back, actually what may have occurred is that I got caught because I'm a little ham-handed at committing any kind of actual crime. And so I think that there's the possibility that it was an easy... See, here's the thing. I'm not even going to continue that because it doesn't matter. I mean, it does, but it doesn't matter to me. I could analyze it up and down, but it doesn't change the facts that for some reason, 56 years of my life has been spent on the outside of every, quote, circle I've been a part of. People who are my peers have done things that are as bad or worse than me, and I have been the one that has been ostracized by the group. I used to think it was because I let it happen, and that's possible. I used to think that it was because I deserved it, and I'm not sure anybody deserves a lifetime of that. But maybe that's it. I used to think it was because my mother was right. I'm an irredeemable asshole, and I treated her horribly, and that just turns out not to be, that's demonstrably not true. But it's what her friends believe, and it's how they treat me, and it's how they spread the rumors in their gossipy little rock in the Northwest. I've got people who claim to love me, but if I don't call them, they never call me. Ever. And I'm not talking about extended family. I'm talking about people who've known me since I was a child. I don't have any friends here in China. I alienated the last one the other day because I went through kind of an odd job process where I was accepted, then I was turned down, then I was accepted again, and then I thought, fuck it, I don't want to work for these people because it's been too much of a rocky road, and I'm thinking about going home anyway, which I won't be able to do at all now because of the new epidemic, blah, blah, blah. And this guy didn't say a word. He basically shut me down. What do they say, ghosted me? I guess maybe my point's a simple one. I don't understand why I've ended up friendless. And I'm not even sure I'm asking you, because I'm sure you'll all come with some snarky response about how I must be an asshole, or maybe, that this all is my fault, or that, well, you need to figure that out, don't you, asshole? And, the kind of uncharitable nonsense that occurs on the web, I'm not interested. I don't give a fuck what you think. And maybe that's why I'm not liked. But I do think this, that if you know somebody who no one reaches out to, take a page from my book. I reach out to those people because I know who they are. I can spot them like gays can spot gays. You need to reach out to people. Tolerance is not about just tolerating people. Tolerance is about actively pursuing relationships with people you disagree with. So by way of, hopefully this doesn't sound like I'm in some sort of pity party, because I'm not. But by way of understanding that there are people out there, because I am one, who no one contacts, that I have to reach out on a regular basis. Imagine the frustration of somebody with a less fortitude, who's isolated now, and with the pandemic, isolated even more. Who was the last person you reached out to? Who was the last person you gave a shit about? Who was the last person you tried to like despite what you initially thought of them, or you think they think? Am I lecturing you? I don't care. If you're not reaching out, you're not a human being. To misquote Joe Biden, if you don't know whether to isolate them or not, then you ain't human. I've always said be courageous and kind, but courageous is first for a reason. Reaching out, the act of being courageous, is kind. So reach out. Help somebody today that you didn't help yesterday. Or pick somebody specifically because you know they're isolated. Say, hey, I just wanted to know if you'd like to get a cup of coffee. Would you do that? Would you spend your time for just, an hour or two? I can tell you that, and I mean this in the most humble possible way, and not trying to elicit pity, that there are times when it would be really great if somebody would invite me out for a cup of coffee. And I'm telling you, no one does or ever has. And there you are. You've been listening to the China Stories. I'm Mike Rice. This is Beijing, China. And remember, always be courageous and kind. And we'll see you next time.